Right. I wouldn't call them mixed signals. I'd call it noise. We have a lot of noise, and Trump dominates the news cycle. But in the morning, there are tariffs, and in the evening, there are no tariffs. There's a lot of theater involved in this. Uh, we don't know whether it's improvisation or the desire to dominate the cycle for its news cycle for its own sake. But I wouldn't uh, over press one's strategic vision on anything yet. I think it's quite early, quite confused, and we can't really say anything very clear about any of the main theaters of action, whether it is the Ukraine war, whether it is the Middle East, whether it is China, whether it is the Americas. Nothing has happened yet except a tremendous amount of noise and a tremendous amount of confusion. And Trump talks a lot. Populist leaders make their way with this kind of daily communication with their followers. It is a political tactic that works for populists. Lots and lots of communication throughout the day, throughout the night, posts, discussions, but they don't add up to uh, anything clear, I would say. So far, to my mind, there is only one grown-up discussion that has the mark of day-to-day continuity and rationality, and that is our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who has given intelligent interviews and even conceptual discussions about a multipolar world. That's a good thing. Uh, he's our Secretary of State. He's called for diplomacy. He says diplomacy means mutual accommodation and compromise. Uh, we are in a multipolar world, he's declared. All of that I would put in the category of grown-up discussion. Everything else, we don't know. Honestly, Netanyahu is in Washington. Is it for them to plan the next phase of something awful because the U.S. is giving more heavy weapons and financing for Israel? That's already agreed. Or is it to lay down the law and say the current ceasefire will continue into a political outcome? We don't know. The theater in the Western Hemisphere is extraordinary. Can you imagine before this an American president basically posting daily that Canada is the 51st state? It's not funny. It is not conducive to any kind of real solutions to issues. It's theater. It's Hollywood. It's past the popcorn. But people like it. But it's not actually solving anything. Uh, I think Rubio did one thing. It's interesting. Yes, he got the Panamanians to leave the Belt and Road Initiative. Uh, this is interesting. Basically, Trump is, as you said, clearly claiming American hegemony over the Americas as a whole. What would be interesting is if he would at least have the capacity mentally and geopolitically to say, well, if we don't want China and Russia nearby us, maybe they don't want the United States nearby them. If it actually reached that level of sophistication, the world would be safer. And so there could be some meaning in all of this. But remember, we're talking about Trump and we're talking about America. And America's perfectly capable of saying, we don't want Russia and China near us, and we will be right in their face. After all, just before we got on, I was reading how Trump has said, sure, now Ukraine will give us its rare earths. in payment for our help. This is back to Lindsey Graham, the senator who said we must fight because there are $10 trillion of mineral reserves. Don't mind the Ukrainians, don't mind war, don't mind life and death. This is ours, these minerals. This is, again, it's a little bit discouraging that in the 21st century, uh, we have this kind of primitive approach to our hourly and daily life at a time of uh, trying to survive. We should recall that last week, as a backdrop to this, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists moved the doomsday clock a second closer to Armageddon, to 89 seconds to midnight. That's a serious issue. So far, nothing that's happened has diminished those risks. So, Glenn, that's a long answer to say that we could possibly construct an intellectual framework around this, but I think it would be premature to do, actually.